Hey, good morning. It's Mark here with another morning rant. Biggest threat to America. What's the biggest threat to America? Other than our financial system, other than our national grid, our electrical grid, other than lead pipes around the country that hasn't been removed, other than our infrastructure falling apart, crumbling, and government spending, just as of yesterday, the government spending $770 billion on the military, but Republicans are afraid to spend 20 cents on our roads and bridges. What's the biggest threat to America? I don't know, but I know someone who does.
And I will say that a majority of the domestic terrorism cases that we've investigated are motivated by some version of what you might call white supremacist violence, but it includes other things as well. I think the greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violent extremists. I will say that
These
we
would be
take
foreign inspired,
which is jihadist-inspired violence. That does not mean, by any stretch of the imagination, that we don't take domestic terrorism, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology, extremely seriously.
Biggest threat to America. Not only is it terrorism from extremists, people that are terrorists in America that are influenced by outside entities, outside meaning overseas, jihadists, things like that. But the greatest threat to America is white supremacy and violence committed by white supremacists. Why am I bringing it up? That clip that you saw is a couple of years old. Why am I bringing that up? A couple of days ago, a group of white men, group of idiots, decided to do a march on the Lincoln Memorial. And what did they do? They paraded around the Lincoln Memorial, face covered, hats on, mask on, glasses on, some with gloves on, so you can't tell, like you really can't tell who they are. And they proceeded to march around the Capitol. Well, the Lincoln Memorial. I don't think they spoke or anything. I mean, there's nobody speaking. You can tell the flags that they're carrying are not all American flags. They even had one flag upside down. And having a flag, there you go. And having a flag upside down means America is under attack and can't be. America is being defeated. And this, you see the sign right there. This was a Reclaim America rally. And these guys wanted to reclaim America. So all they did was march. And most of those flags are not American flags. And the American flags that you do see are upside down. America is under attack. America is being compromised. America is in trouble. So they feel like they want to reclaim America. Reclaim America from who? No, they're not talking about. Let me rewind this again, because just let it play through. They're not talking about Jews will not replace us, because they know that what happened last time in Charlottesville when they were marching and saying Jews will not replace us, that people started taking still shots of those videos and saying, okay, this guy's a white supremacist, this guy's a white supremacist, let's cancel him. Let's go and let his employer know that this guy was at the Charlottesville, Virginia rally saying Jews will not replace us. So they're not doing it anymore. And you can tell they're marching and running because these white men are afraid to be by themselves. They cannot act alone. And that's mostly, okay, some gangs. I'll say most gangs. I'll say majority of gangs. Most of these guys are weak. Weak in their minds. In some cases, weak in their bodies. And they feel like, I'm not getting no quote unquote love, so I'm going to get quote unquote love from my friends. And we're going to form a group or a gang in most cases where collectively I'm tough. By myself, not so much. And that's for all gangs, black, white, Hispanic, whatever. All gangs, I feel, are like that. No different than these guys, these white supremacists. They are weak, in most cases uneducated, poverty-stricken, and now they're getting their lead from some guys who are well off, well-to-do, middle class, who feel like, hey, I side with you, even though I got a little bit more money than you, more education than you, I progressed more than you. I side with you. I sympathize with you, and I feel the way you feel. So you go fight my battle. This is no different than the Civil War. Civil War was fought because rich men didn't want to give up what they were making, so they got the poor men to fight for them. They even had a conscription act where you can buy your way out of the Civil War. If you paid $300, you can buy your way out of the war, and some poor guy will have to take your place. This is what they do. Rich men during the American Revolutionary War, they were upset that they were getting charged more. I read George Washington's book at least twice, and I never missed the part where he was upset that his goods from England, his goods from London or whatever, came back half-hearted, half-assed, but he had to pay more for it. So these guys were upset that they were being charged more, and they felt like we're not represented in the parliament over there. So let's take this fight to them. But who fought that war? It was poor people. It was people in Lexington and Concord that fought. These poor people fought the wars. When, in order to be an officer in the American Revolutionary War, and in some cases, in order to be an officer in the Civil War, you were a landowner. You were a business owner. They just gave you a commission and said, hey, as long as you were able to go and scrounge up volunteers, why do you think Tennessee called itself Tennessee Volunteers? Go look it up. That's from the Confederacy. But these guys volunteered. If I can go to the Congress and say, look, I just round up 2,000 men. Okay, we're going to make you a captain. Go out there and fight for us. This landowner was going to go out there and fight for us. And being an officer and a gentleman was something that you needed to do. Go and look at the Lincoln movie with Daniel Day-Lewis and how Lincoln's son really wanted to fight in the war because that was all that was going to matter after the war was done. But what did you do? And I know I'm going off on a rant, but that's what this is, so stick with me. White supremacy, the rich white supremacists take the poor white supremacists and make them do the dirty work. And these guys don't look like they're poor. They don't look like they're anything other than middle class. I mean, they're all in, excuse me. Oh, there you go. They're all in tactical khaki pants, and they got on the blue shirts, and they got their faces covered. Because they're afraid to let people know that they're white supremacists. They're afraid to let people know that they want to take. Ever since Barack Obama was elected president, they wanted to take their country back. But take their country back from whom? Again, we can go into the history of smallpox and measles and blankets and treaties with the Native Americans. We can go to the Native American Removal Act and how the Trail of Tears were founded because the Trail of Tears was established because they found gold in the Native Americans' territories. So they say, hey, y'all got to get the hell up out of here because we want the gold in Georgia. And so the Cherokee Indians fought all the way up to the Supreme Court and won. They still had to move. And they say that, and I said this before, that Andrew Jackson was known to have said, the Supreme Court has made his ruling. Now let them enforce it, because they know that the Supreme Court does not have a standing army. And the person that's supposed to enforce laws and execute laws is the executive branch, because they execute laws. The president is supposed to execute the law. He did not execute the law. He skirted the law and got the Native Americans to move over to Oklahoma. Thousands of Native Americans died on the Trail of Tears. So who are you taking the country from? Who are you taking it back from? Who has taken it from the white man? Who has taken this country from the white man? I'll wait. Biggest, greatest threat to America is white supremacy and the white man's fear that this country is being taken from them. When it's been, and you can even go, look, before there was a white man, the only people considered white was the Anglo-Saxon, England, Western European guy. But even they were split up. If you were Irish, if you were Scottish, if you were French, if you were German, if you were whatever, they cut you up in groups. It wasn't until roughly around the 1600s where they decided to say, hey, well, if you are white, you are better. So it don't matter where you're from as long as you're white. Look at the Irish. When the Irish came over here because of the Irish famine, they were hated on. They were shitted on. But even they were accepted later on. Go back and watch Gangs of New York. It'll explain it to you. Daniel Day-Lewis again, Leonardo DiCaprio, and that female, I can't remember her name. Go watch Gangs of New York. How all of them hated black folk and Asians. But how the white rabbits were different from the other immigrants that were different from the other immigrants. Well, I was native born. I'm from America, so this is my country. But that's what you have, and that's what's still permeating around America. White men, white people, but more particular, white men. And look, a kick dog will holler. A kick dog will holler. In other words, if the shoe fit, wear it. I'm not going to say all white men behave like this. All white men think like this. And this is a small percentage. But if you disagree with me that white supremacy is the problem, if white male supremacy is the problem, if you do not agree with me, then you're a part of the problem. And throw yourself in that group. They feel like this country is being taken from them. And one of the main things they have a problem with, I would say, what's their motivation? It's not just the fact that they feel like America's being taken from them. It's the fact that they feel like their white women are being denigrated and disrespected. And that's another issue. A lot of the issues that white supremacists have come from white women. Go back and look at Emmett Till. Emmett Till died because a white woman lied. Go and look at. I know a lot of people will remember Mike Epps when he was doing his joke about the slave mistress coming in talking to the slave. and having sex with the slave. We all know the joke on the movie Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, how the white girl had sex with Can't Get Right and had a black baby. Those jokes are jokes, but there's some truth to it. It's not that I said this before. There's a story in Wilmington, North Carolina, that white men were angry that white women may be raped by black men, and a black newspaper reporter said, "I will have you know that it's not black men that's the problem. It's your white women that's coming on to us." And they burned down his newspaper. They gave him 24 hours to leave the city, because that's the truth. It's not that black men have a insatiable desire. Go look at the Birth of a Nation. Not the Birth of a Nation a couple of years ago, but the 1900 Birth of a Nation. Go look at that. It was about white women being taken by black men and how the Ku Klux Klan was going to come in and save the day. It's white women that's the problem. But it's white women that's a part of the problem. But it's also white men who feel like this country is being taken from them. Disagree with me if you want, but the proof is in the pudding. Your FBI director, that FBI director, Christopher Wray, he came in office under President Trump. Biggest, greatest threat to America is white supremacy. And it's all over the GQP. It's all over the GQP. Why do you think the redistricting is the way that it is? They want to try to keep the white vote, because majority of white people vote for Republicans. They're trying to keep the white vote as tight as it is, even though that number is small. They're trying to legislate maps, districting maps, to keep that group as tight as possible. So no matter how Democrats vote, and no matter how many numbers that they accumulate, their numbers will only get them 1-2 seats on a council or in the legislature, or in the state legislature. The biggest fight that some Republicans have is being primaried in their own districts, because if they be primaried in their districts, it's an easy walk for someone to win in that district. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene's district is heavily conservative. So her fight is not with Democrats. Her fight is with other Republicans. How far right can I go? And in doing so, once they beat the primaries, are in a playoff bracket. So for those of you that don't know what a primary is, it's a playoff bracket. It's majority, it's Democrats on one side, Republicans on the other. And they compete against each other. And people vote for them. And the person that wins out of the primary goes on and fight in the championship, which is the state seats, the House, the Senate, or even the White House. So whenever you hear the word primary, think playoffs. When the president and a candidate for president goes up to announce his candidacy for president, he just entered the playoffs. America vote during the primaries. All Republicans vote for their Republican member. All Democrats vote for their Democrat member. And then the whole nation votes between the two. It's a playoff. But Republicans know in a certain district, I gotta beat my primary challenger, because whoever wins in that district is automatically going to get the seat, because Democrats are going to lose in that district every time. And Republicans want to keep that district Republican, but also make other districts that are also Republican, which is why you got the gerrymandering. It all ties in together. And I just hit 20 minutes. So let me get up out of here. Today is Wednesday. You guys have a great day. It's hump day. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys on the next one, all right? Y'all take care. I'm out.